What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today we got our updated NBA mock draft. Just a day after the NBA draft lottery, so we now have an official first 14 picks of the NBA draft, and we're going to do a full first round mock draft here in this video, guys. The Dallas Mavericks did get the number one pick and win the lottery last night. That was a complete shocker. I thought it was going to be the Hornets, Jazz, Wizards, Pelicans, Nets, one of the top five teams to get the pick, as you always kind of expect it to be. But there has been quite a few shockers recently in the draft lottery, and this one definitely was a shocker. The Mavericks are going to have the opportunity to select Cooper Flag, which we will have them do, and pair him up almost as a perfect fit in this Mavericks roster with Kyrie, Klay Thompson, Anthony Davis, and suddenly the Mavericks get saved after making what a ton of people are calling one of the worst trades in NBA history, to trade away a franchise player that could have been on your team his entire career, right in his prime, early years of his prime. Luka Doncic is very young still. Traded him to the Lakers for Anthony Davis, who's very injury prone. And yeah, just in my opinion, I agree. I don't think it was a good trade at all. But wow, they are getting saved right here with getting Cooper Flag, or having the opportunity to select him, and setting themselves up now to be a real contender next year, in year one, in the first few years of Cooper Flag's career. So that was pretty crazy, that they were able to pull that off and get lucky here. But I think that just saved the Mavericks there, for a very long time. Next up, we do have the Spurs at pick number 2. I've been seeing a lot of people going Dylan Harper here, which makes sense. He is in what would be a lot of classes, including last year's NBA draft class, the number one pick in the draft. He has that level of potential and that level of talent. I think that he is going to be great. I think that he really reminds me a lot, honestly, of like a Cade Cunningham type of player, to be honest. And I do think he is the second best player in this class. However, I don't necessarily think he fits for what the Spurs are trying to do right now, considering they already have De'Aaron Fox and they just traded for him. They have the Rookie of the Year as their other guard in Stephon Castle. I just don't know where he fits in on this Spurs team. I feel really good about the Spurs trading this pick. The Dylan Harper is going to go number 2. I just don't know if it's going to be to the Spurs. Right now in this video, we're not going to do trades, so I say the Spurs draft him. They figure it out later, and it's probably going to be trade him later. Does that involve any trade for Giannis? That is going around, that Giannis might be, the two favorites might be the Spurs or the Rockets. That kind of makes sense there, that would be a hell of a player to get back for him, and also you're going to get more back for Giannis as well. So Dylan Harper, could that be involved in a trade? If it's not involved for a trade for a player like Giannis, I could see a team like the Jazz, the Wizards, the Pelicans, the Nets, even the Raptors trading up to number 2 to be able to select Dylan Harper. So I could see that happening as well. I know the Nets specifically have a decent amount of picks in the first round. They could throw a lot of picks at the Spurs, and then maybe even throw in a guy like Cam Johnson, someone in there like that, to try to get the number 2 pick. Next up at number 3, we have the Philadelphia 76ers, and pretty easy pick here, assuming you're going to keep Joel Embiid. He's not going to move on from the team. I do think it is possible that he does get moved. You got Tyrese Maxey, who is your new franchise guy at the point guard position. You got Jared McCain, who is maybe on track to win Rookie of the Year this past season before he got injured at shooting guard. So you're looking for a wing, and what do you know? The next best player available is a wing, and a very good scoring wing, who is going to fit this team perfectly. Ace Bailey, number 3 to the 76ers. I'm not as high on him as some people are. I don't think he is necessarily the clear number 3 player in this draft class, but there definitely is an argument for him to be the number 3 player in this draft class. So we will have him go here to the 76ers. The players that I kind of have Close to being above him, if not above him, are VJ Edgecombe and Trey Johnson. I'm very high on Trey Johnson, and Derek Queen is close too as my top center. But 76ers, I think it's a perfect fit. I think that they go with Ace Bailey, who is a all-scoring, can do it at all three levels of the court. One of the best scorers that we see and come out, and he's going to be great for the 76ers. Next up, we do have the Charlotte Hornets, and this pick, I could see them going possibly for a center. Mark Williams, who's still a very, very young center and a very good player. They tried to move him at the trade deadline to the Lakers to get a guy like Dalton Knecht. So are they really invested in him for the long term? We don't really know, so I don't really want to assume. So I'm going to go with a different position and need, go with shooting guard, because I think that he is the best player available at this time as well, and that is VJ Edgecombe. And I think that he is a player who could very well play off the ball, which they will need, having LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller. VJ Edgecombe can play off the ball. He can catch and shoot. He is the most athletic player in this draft class. He's going to be super fun to watch. A guy who can fit right into that shooting guard position, right in between LaMelo and Brandon Miller, and play that two guard position. Perfect fit here for the Hornets. Next up, we do have the Utah Jazz picking here at number 5. On the Jazz, I'm probably looking for they have a lot of guards on this team, but I'm looking at Trey Johnson as my best player still available at this point in the draft. I think you got to go with him here, and he's a guy who's going to be able to play the two guard, be a really good scorer, very much in the mid-range, off the dribble, three-point, very solid player, very underrated in this draft class. I think Trey Johnson can be a franchise-type player. I think he is going to be a perfect fit there. Now, they do have a lot of guys at the guards position, whether it is, Colin Sexton, Isaiah Collier, Jordan Clarkson, a lot of guys, Keontae George. But Trey Johnson, I think that he's better than all those players, has the potential to for sure be an all-star caliber player. I think you can't pass up on that there, especially because you could go with one of my other players, top players right now available, Jeremiah Fears, which is more of a true point guard. I think Trey Johnson has the higher upside as far as scoring, even though they're both really good scorers. But you could go with a center, but I'm not convinced that Walker Kessler isn't the guy of the future there at the center position. He's holding it down. Very good defender. And rim protected there. I think that he is fine right now at center for them. They need scoring. I think Trey Johnson would be a very good player for them here. Next up at number 6, we do have the Washington Wizards. And for the Wizards, I'm kind of going to take an interesting route here. Yes, they did draft Alex Sarr in the last draft. And I am looking at Kasparas Jakušionis there. Available to maybe be the potential franchise point guard of the future. But I kind of like guys that they got, with Bub Carrington. You have Bub Carrington, who was a very good playmaker. And I think if I'm the Wizards, honestly, on my board, I got Jeremiah Fears as a higher point guard than Jakušionis. And that's just my preference. I like Jeremiah Fears more. I do think Jakušionis is a very good playmaker, but he also turns the ball over quite a bit. But I'm going to go a different route here for the Wizards. And we've seen the two bigs perform really well in the NBA lately. And I think that is the right route to go, especially when Alex Sarr, especially in his rookie year, has shown that he can shoot the three ball. Derek Queen has also shown that he can stretch the floor and has the potential to stretch the floor. Both going to be really good rebounders. Derek Queen can play the power forward position, which is what I am going to draft him to do. And you have a hole there after trading away Kyle Kuzma at the trade deadline. I think that this could be the right direction for the Wizards to go over drafting a point guard right now. I think Derek Queen, Alex Sarr, front court of the future, running two bigs. We've seen it work all over the NBA. recently. They can both stretch the floor, which is huge, especially Alex Sarr. You got to have at least one of them be able to do that. I love this fit here. Let me know what you guys think. I am a Wizards fan. This is the direction I hope that they will go. We will see if they actually do it. Derek Queen, number 6 here to the Wizards. Next up at number 7, we do have the New Orleans Pelicans. And the Pelicans, they got a ton of options. It's really up to them what they want to do with. Now, in my opinion, they need a point guard. They need to get their point guard of the future. So it's between Jacussionis and Jeremiah Fears. In my opinion, I think Jeremiah Fears is the better overall prospect. So I'm going to go with Jeremiah Fears here to the New Orleans Pelicans at pick number 7 to get their point guard of the future. A guy who has some potential to grow as a playmaker. I think has one of the best handles in this draft class and is a very good scorer at the point guard position as well. Going to be very fun to watch there. Hopefully him, if you can get Zion to stay and play, if you let him play back-to-backs, let him play the whole season, if he can get into shape, you have yourself a couple of really good franchise cornerstones there in New Orleans. I do think that Jeremiah Fears can be a franchise cornerstone. Next up, the Brooklyn Nets. And the Brooklyn Nets fell here. I think they, obviously they wanted to get the top pick, as, every team wanted to get Cooper Flagg. He is almost a lock to be a superstar in the NBA with him having experience on Team USA and just his play style. You can just tell that he is a star and he is NBA ready. So where do the Nets go here? My best player available is definitely Common Malawach. He has fallen just a little bit. We are still in the top 10, and I think he will for sure go top 10. But is that the direction that the Nets want to go, is the center position? I don't necessarily think so. I think Jacussionis, even though I'm not super high on him, I do think he does have a high ceiling. And definitely potential to not turn the ball over as much. And I do think the Nets have some time where they can let him develop. Head on over to the Brooklyn Nets. Next up, we do have the Toronto Raptors. Now, the Raptors are a team that I think probably wanted to get a point guard as well. But a lot of my top point guards are already off the board, with Fears and Jacussionis going back-to-back right before the Raptors. I think that they would have selected one of those players. But you got to think, Jakob Poeltl, is he the guy of the future? At this point, you got to go younger. I think Malawach is the guy here at number 9 to head up to the Toronto Raptors. I think it would be a very good fit, and I got him going here number 9. Number 10, we do have the Houston Rockets. Now, where do they want to go? This is 100% the best, highest contending team in the NBA draft lottery this year. And they got Reed Shepherd last year at number 3. He hasn't even seen the court, and they were the 2 seed. So you got to think they have another guard coming in. Do they want to go guard? Do they draft for depth here? Do they want to get a backup center with Thomas Sorber? I don't think that would be a bad idea, but I think I'm definitely going to have them go here with Con Knipple. I think Con Knipple would be a good fit here at number 10 for the Houston Rockets. I know that they have a ton of forwards, but this is more so just for depth. And Con Knipple can really play the 2 or the 3 if you need him to. He's a very good shooter. He can score for you. And having him gives you some flexibility. I do think that this pick, or maybe some of the other forwards that the Rockets have had, in recent years could be involved, packaged together. Possibly a Jalen Green and a package to get Giannis. In a trade package. I do think that whether it's for Giannis or not, the Rockets might be involved in a pretty big trade this offseason involving some of these wings. So I think drafting another wing, maybe Con Knipple is involved in that trade. I think that they go him. I think it is my best player. I want to say, yeah, I say this is my best player available at this point. So I think Rockets go best player available because they don't really have any too big of glaring holes on this team right now. Next up at number 11, we do have the Portland Trailblazers. And, they drafted Donovan Clingan last year. He definitely needs to grow, and I do still think that he is going to be their center of the future. They got Scoot Henderson. They got, guards everywhere, a ton of guards. So I think they got to go wing here. They got to go 3 or 4. And there are a couple guys that I'm really looking at for them. You could go Colin Murray-Boyles for sure. Thomas Sorber is a guy who could play the 4 next to Donovan Clingan, but he's not the purest of three-point shooters yet. He does show that potential, but he's not there yet. Asa Newell is more of a 4 who can play that, or Noah Isengu, the overseas player who could definitely be the wing for you. I'm kind of between him and Colin Murray-Boyles. I really like Isengu, though. I've seen him. I've watched the highlights on him recently since my last mock draft that I made, and I've gotten higher on him, and I think that he is the type of player that would fit the Trailblazers well. He has a lot of potential. He can spread the floor, play the 3 or the 4, has good defense. I like him here at number 11. Number 12, we do have the Chicago Bulls, and the Chicago Bulls are interesting here, man. I guess you kind of go best player available. No more DeMar DeRozan, no more Zach LaVine. Kobe White, you still got Lonzo Ball. Do you really want to go guard here? And you got Josh Giddey now, who was playing great since they got him. He was going on a tear, triple-double machine. So do you really want to go guard here? And you got Nikola Vucevic, who they've been saying is going to get traded forever, but just never does. I think I'm between 2 players right now, and that is Liam McNeely from UConn and Rasheer Fleming from St. Joseph's. I think are really good forwards. Liam McNeely, he kind of gives you something different than Josh Giddey. He's going to be able to play the 3 and stretch the floor very, very well, which they need. They need some shooting. I think that's the main reason I'm going to go him here. I'm going to go with Liam McNeely at number 12 to the Chicago Bulls. I think you need somebody who can really shoot the ball with the lineup that they have right now, and he's going to be able to give that to you. They need some shooting. Next up at number 13, we do have the Atlanta Hawks. And the Hawks just got the number 1 pick last year and took Zachary Rizache. Is looking like Trae Young is still going to be on the team for the future as well. I think that they could definitely look at the center position here, try to find a center of the future for sure. Kind of hard to find that at 13 as kind of a for sure thing. Or they could go shooting guard here. I see some shooting guards in here that I like. Jace Richardson is listed as a point guard, but I definitely see him more of a shooting guard, 100%. I wouldn't be opposed to the Hawks taking him there. None of these shooting guards, I think, would go this early that they have listed. So I think it is Jace Richardson, or it is go with a center, which I would say is Thomas Sorber, who I do think has a lot of potential. I'm going to go with Thomas Sorber for this pick. I think it makes the most sense in my opinion. They're going to need a better center down low and one for the future. I think Thomas Sorber is a guy that they got to go out and get here at number 13. Number 14, we do have the San Antonio Spurs. We had them take Dylan Harper earlier in this draft. Is he going to be on that team? I don't know. He is definitely second best player in this draft, but I do think that pick does probably end up getting traded. So you're good on guards. They don't need guards. They 100% need wings, and I think this is where I'm going to have Rasheer Fleming go. I'm really high on Rasheer Fleming out of St. Joseph's. I think that working with the Spurs development team, he is going to develop really nicely. I think it is a perfect fit here with San Antonio. Rasheer Fleming going can be a really nice fit at the 4 position next to Wembanyama as well. That is a excellent fit in my opinion. Next up at number 15, we do have the OKC Thunder. And at number 15, where do you want to go here? You're kind of looking for more of depth pieces, more so than, a star player of the future. They're still in the playoffs right now. It's looking like they are probably going to make the Western Conference Finals, and possibly be the champions this year. They could definitely be NBA champs this year. So what do they need? They could use maybe some center depth. They could use maybe some forward depth. They just need some depth. They don't really need a superstar to come in. They probably could use some rebounding, which is why I'm looking at Asa Newell or Colin Murray-Boyles. I think those are probably your best options there. Guys who can come in from the front court and try to come in and get you some boards. And Asa Newell, especially as well, can come in and spread the floor for you, play some defense. I think that's the best pick there for the Thunder. They need some depth there at the bigs position. Get some boards. Give me Asa Newell at number 15 to OKC. Next up at number 16, they definitely need some shooting, and I think I'm going to go with the best shooter available at this point, which is probably going to be Jace Richardson. I'm pretty high on him. Just a freshman out of Michigan State. He started getting a lot of minutes, pretty early into the season, and then once he got the start, never looked back. He took over. Jason Richardson's son, if you guys don't know, I think would be an excellent fit here. They got him listed at point guard. He could end up being the point guard for the Magic. I think shooting guard fits him best, but they definitely need some guards and they need some shooting. So I think Jace Richardson there, being able to learn behind KCP, perfect fit for Jace Richardson. I think that he's going to have a very good, long NBA career there. So that would be an excellent pick at 16. Number 17, we do have the Minnesota Timberwolves, and I am going to have them take a shot here for their point guard of the future. That Sportskeeda, the site that I'm using, their board has him way too low. I think he is going in the first round. I think he is going to be a top 20 draft pick. I'm going to have Walter Clayton Jr. go to the Minnesota Timberwolves, and I think that this makes a lot of sense for the Timberwolves to take a shot here. They are a team that is contending right now. They are looking like they are also going to be in the Western Conference Finals. Assuming there's no 3-1 leads blown, it is going to be Timberwolves and OKC in the Western Conference Finals. So they are championship contenders. Made it last year, going to make it this year most likely. And they need an established player, so why not draft a little bit of an older player who is established, just won a national championship, is shooting lights out, which would help the Timberwolves a ton, and can be your point guard of the future. I think the Timberwolves take a shot here at 17. I 100% would take a shot at Walter Clayton Jr., especially if I'm the Timberwolves. To me, it makes a lot of sense. They could use a point guard of the future. Mike Conley's not getting any younger. Give me Walter Clayton here to the Timberwolves. I think it makes a lot of sense. Next up at number 18, we got the Washington Wizards again. Earlier I took Derek Queen, which is kind of a different pick. I don't see a lot of people making that pick for the Wizards because we just took Alex Sarr last year. But I think that they can take Derek Queen and have him play the 4 and have him play right there next to Alex Sarr at the 5, and you have your front court of the future. The two bigs have been working very well, and the Minnesota Timberwolves are, a prime example right there. So, we do have the Wizards up next. So, you're probably looking at a guard or a forward here. They do have Miles Bird pretty high. They got him listed as a small forward. He's more of a point guard, a tall point guard. Igor Demin is a very good playmaker. Is that what you're looking for there? He has gotten a lot better at shooting throughout the season as well. Him and Colin Murray Boyles are probably my top 2 players on my board at this point. I just think that you got to take a shot at him here and go with Edgar Demon. You got to trust that him or Bub Carrington are going to be your point guard of the future. Although he can play shooting guard, he could probably play small forward at his size, if he bulks up a little bit more. I think he's more of like a Denny Advia, which, the Wizards used to have him, but he projects to be a better shooter. He definitely showed that he was improving as a shooter throughout the season. Is he as good of a defender as Denny is? I'm not sure. Probably not. Denny's an excellent defender, but I think you got to take a shot at him here. He is my best player available at this point. Him and Colin Murray Boyles, it's very close, but you just took a power forward center to play next to Alex Sarr. You don't really need to take another one here, so I would go with Edgar Demon if I was the Washington Wizards. Earlier, we did have the Brooklyn Nets, and we did have them take Jakushionis to hopefully be their point guard of the future, and I think it is a pretty easy pick here. You got to go best player available, and that is Colin Murray Boyles. You have the Miami Heat next. You got Bam Adebayo, you got Tyler Hero. Those are kind of your locked in. Everything else is kind of fair game. They could definitely use a good playmaking point guard. They could probably use a wing. I'm going to go with Carter Bryant out of Arizona. I think that this is a pretty good fit here. The Miami Heat have one of the best, track records in recent memory as far as developing their draft picks. I think Carter Bryant would get developed really nice there in Miami. I think it would be a very good pick there for them to get him. Next up at 21, we do have the Utah Jazz. We had them take Trey Johnson, their scorer franchise player of the future at pick number 5 is what they hope they're getting. Next up, what do they want to go out and get? Now, there are a lot of really good guards around this area. In the draft, Boogie Fland is a guy who is debating on returning to college. I think he's probably going to get drafted. Tahad Pettiford is a guy who can kind of be a combo guard as well. I don't really think that the Jazz need another guard, especially since we just took Trey Johnson with our last pick. Chaz Laner is a really good three-point shooter, probably too high for him. So you're really looking at a wing if you are the Utah Jazz. You got Walker Kessler, but we are pretty deep into the draft, so you're also kind of just looking for depth. But we are still in the first round. If you are the Utah Jazz, being as bad as you were this past year, you kind of need some franchise players here if you can find them. So you got to try to do your best here to get one. And there's just not many left on the board that aren't guards at this point. But I am going to have them go with Noah Penda, overseas player here. Small forward, power forward, wing with some potential. I think that could definitely work here for the Jazz. As far as what they need, they got enough guards. I'm going to have them stay away from them and go with Noah Penda here. Next up, we have the Atlanta Hawks. We have them take Thomas Sorber, who is hopefully their center of the future there. Guy who definitely can hustle and get some rebounds, play into their system, and also stretch the floor and shoot some tray balls for them, which will be really huge there in Atlanta and help them expand the floor. And Trae Young will be able to find him and get him the ball for sure. One of the best playmakers in the NBA. So where do you want to go here? I'm going to go with my best player available, which is going to be Will Riley out of Illinois. I think that and I accidentally just took an extra pick there. Nice. But Will Riley here on the Hawks, I do think would be a really good fit. He can play the 2 or the 3 next to Trae Young. Probably going to end up being the 2 guard. He was a really good shooter in his freshman season there at Illinois. And also, I think just has a ton of potential, mostly as a shooter, but I think would be a very good fit there next to Trae Young as well. They also have, as I just drafted, Zachary Reeves-Ashe and also Dyson Daniels, so they're going to have to split some time there, but at 22, they need some shooting there on the wing, be able to spread the floor. I think that he could come in as a bench player here in his rookie year and have a pretty decent impact. Up at number 23, we do have the Indiana Pacers, who are looking like they are going to close it out against the Cavs and make it to the Eastern Conference Finals for the second year in a row. I do think that they do end up signing, especially with the playoffs he's having, Miles Turner. At the end of the season, he is a free agent. But I do think that they could use some depth at the center position. They definitely have enough guards. So there is a player that I really like as a fit here, an older player who can help a contending team, and that is Ryan Cockburner as a backup center to Miles Turner, a guy who can be a true rim protector there and come in and hopefully give you some valuable minutes, who played in the Midwest there at Creighton and Omaha. So I think it would be just a perfect fit there for Ryan Cockburner, the big cock, to head in there at number 23 to be the backup center to the Indiana Pacers and help that contending team who is looking very good right now. Next up at number 24, we do have OKC once again. We had them take Asa Newell with our first pick that they had, and honestly, that is a tremendous get for OKC. Next up, I'm going to have them take another player that I think can help them right off rip, and that is Cam Jones, the player from Marquette, who is going to be one of the better shooters out of this draft class. Yes, he is a 4-year college player, so he is on the older side for NBA draft terms. So is Ryan Cockburner, but I think at this point with the contending teams, not such a bad thing to be able to draft these older players. I think would be an excellent fit here to be a shooter off the bench for OKC. Hopefully, that is what you do get if you are the Thunder here with this pick 24. And I think that Cam Jones actually, for an older player, has a ton of potential out of Marquette as well. So I think would be a home run pick here for anyone in the 20s or later. If he does go later, I think it would be a home run pick. Next up at 25, we have the Orlando Magic. Took a great pick with Jace Richardson earlier. I really like this pick. They could go with another guard here who is my best player available right now, LeBron Phelan, the freshman from Alabama, who was really good for them. But I'm going to go with a player that did fall a little bit here, another older player, but I think a guy who is going to help them and will know his role, whether it is, most likely off the bench, right, if he is getting minutes. Nick Clifford out of Colorado State, he is going to know his role. He's going to be able to come off the bench. Obviously, he is not going to start over Franz or Paulo. He is probably going to be a backup 2 or a 3, which would be perfect here for the Magic to come off the bench and give them some more shooting off the bench there. I think Nick Clifford would, again, be another home run pick here in the 20s. I think he fell a little bit mostly because I didn't see him on here. I think that they have him a little bit too low for my liking on this board. I think he's going to go much higher than this, honestly. At least, close to top 20 or very early 20s. Nick Clifford is an excellent prospect, and he's going to be able to play whatever role you want him to. And we got back-to-back picks by the Brooklyn Nets. See, this is what I was saying. 4 first-round picks this year. They have a haul. They could maybe try to trade up with the Spurs to get the number 2 pick. I think it is possible that they wind up with Dylan Harper. So we will see, but so far we had them take Kasparas Jakušionis and Noah Isagu. So I do think that it is possible here that they do just kind of go with best player available here. If I were them, I would go LeBron Phelan, another guard. You have him and Jakušionis. One of them could hopefully work out for them and be your starting point guard. But they could play off of each other as well. I do think that there is a world where they can both coexist together as well if they both turn out to be super good players. And then with the second pick, you could go a few different directions here. You probably want to look at wing just to get that wing depth up. There is Miles Bird, which would be another good playmaker. You already took a couple of those in this draft. Definitely some different directions here that they could go. Janai Broom is an older player that you could take here. I'm not really sure that's the direction that they want to go. If I'm them, I'm going to try to get some big depth here. I'm going to go with Yaxel Lindenberg, who from UAB did transfer to Michigan. Not looking like he's going to play a game for Michigan. It's looking like he's probably going to end up heading to the NBA. And I think the Nets would be a very good fit for him because I do think that he's going to be able to get some minutes and be able to develop there as well. I think would be a great pick here for the Brooklyn Nets. Next up, we have the Boston Celtics, and I think you kind of got to go best player available here. I do really like Janai Broom. I want to see him go to one of these contending teams to be one of the backup centers there, or be a backup power forward who's playing down low. Not sure if he's going to go first round. From what I've been seeing, he hasn't had the best combine, but best player available for me, 100% Todd Pettiford. I think he is a very underrated player in this draft class, and for him to go to the Celtics here at 28 would be an absolute steal. I think he has a ton of potential. Played on a stacked Auburn team as a freshman this past year, and really just didn't get, the most touches, but whenever he did get the green light to kind of go off, he did, and he can drive, he can shoot, great scorer. I think has a ton of potential. I think the Celtics could develop him. Kind of scary. He's kind of like that sleeper point guard, kind of like, Peyton Pritchard, although Peyton Pritchard was more of a long-term college player. Todd Pettiford is a freshman, but it gives you those kind of vibes there. So the Celtics, I think, just always going to get steals with the way they develop players. Next up, we got the Phoenix Suns at number 29, and they are a team that I could see maybe taking a shot at Janai Broom here. That is definitely possible, or maybe taking a shot at point guard here in Nolan Traore. I think that is what I'm going to have them do. And then we do have the Clippers at pick number 30, and where do you go if you are the LA Clippers here? I mean, you got Kawhi, you got James Harden, you got Zubac, who was playing amazing. You're really just kind of looking for best player available, in my opinion, to try to give you some depth. You got Javon Small there out of West Virginia, having a pretty good combine, looking like a fantastic shooter, but an older player. Same with Chaz Laner, a fantastic shooter, but kind of an older player there. Do you want to take him? What are you looking for? I'm going to have him take Miles Bird here out of San Diego State. I think, they got him listed as small forward here. I think, he's a big guard. He's going to be able to play make. He's going to play defense. He's got that San Diego State connection there with Kawhi Leonard. Let's make it happen here at pick number 30 to round out our first round here. So let me know what you guys think about this first round mock draft, guys. The post-draft lottery, we're going to have another one coming out soon, and multiple of them coming out before the NBA draft does start. I think our next one is going to have trades in it, most likely involving the number 2 pick with the San Antonio Spurs. I think that pick is going to get traded, guys. Let me know if you guys agree, and if you do, which team it will get traded to down below in the comment section. Who's going to wind up with Dylan Harper? Maybe you guys do think it is the Spurs. Maybe they go a different direction and end up trading Stephon Castle. That is a possibility. But let me know down below in the comment section, guys, and subscribe for more NBA mock drafts, college basketball content here on the channel. And yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching.